Alright folks, today I almost sunk my boat. You are not going to believe this, but it's really true. I mean, I am in the marina, I'm even in my own berth, and I can tell you it's possible to sink your boat in your own marina. That's pretty crazy, because actually the weather is pretty good. There's not a lot of wind, it's a protected area in the marina. So how is that possible? I know stories from people who are getting into heavy weather. They are hit by this monster wave and they capsize. Maybe they sink their boat. And I know stories from people that are hitting a hard object while sailing, like maybe a floating container or a reef or so. I also know stories from people that get problems with the keel. It's like they are basically breaking maybe one of the keel bolts, sort of the bolts that make sure that the keel stays underneath the boat. If you break too many of them, you're going to lose your keel and you probably capsize. So these stories are horrible, but yeah, these stories are there and that happens. But in my case, I am in the marina. So no necessity to capsize, monster waves, containers, floating stuff, nothing of that. So let's go back to the beginning. This is Sailing Shango. We are a family living in the north of Germany, in the city of Hamburg. In the weekends we used to sail in the river Elbe, and during summer holidays we sail the Baltic Sea or the North Sea, visiting countries like Denmark or Sweden, the Netherlands, Belgium or even France. So join us on our sailing adventures. In the previous episode, I've been working on the rudder bearing. In this episode, I'm working on a similar project, which was running parallel, and it's about the propeller shaft bearing. So it's basically underneath the hull and it's lubricated by seawater. So it's basically the seawater lubricated propeller shaft bearing, and I'm going to replace it. Okay, I wanted to change this bearing as well. And if I want to change this bearing, I have to take the propeller out, right? The complete shaft. And to do that, I have to remove the rudder. So, first remove the rudder, then take the propeller out. And then I can sort of replace this bearing here. So that was the idea. So as you see, I already removed the rudder and I also already removed the propeller shaft plus propeller. So guys, got a propeller here and I need to clean this guy. So this is how it looks like. So I completely disassembled it, but sort of as an integral part. So this needs to be cleaned. That's what we're gonna do here.
Das riecht bei die Handschuhe. Jetzt habt ihr so viel Tropf gemacht.
Wobei?
Nein. Dahin.
Mhm. Wait, who's that? Well, that's my 4-year-old son. So he is giving me some hints and advice how to clean and polish the propeller.
Gleich musst du einen anderen nehmen.
Ja,
Gleich musst du noch Wasser nehmen und Wasser nehmen. Hast du das gekauft?
Wat? Ja. Heb ook gekocht.
Und auch die Handschuhe.
Mhm.
Deine Freunde ist wer, Papa?
Hm?
Deine Freunde ist wer?
Jij?
Ich!
Ja!
Jetzt sauber machen, dass vielleicht drauf kann.
Ja, hè?
Du musst gleich Hände waschen.
Mhm.
Und wenn du lange im Wasser bleibst, wenn du mal laden.
Ja. Moet je niet hebben, toch?
Und wenn du draußen bist, auch mal laden.
Ja, ook.
Wenn du keine Mütze hast.
Ja.
Das ist
Ja. Is niet goed, toch?
und das ist ich darf das nicht anfassen.
Nee, is vies.
Papa, dreckig ist im Boden.
Oh jee. Moet je schoonmaken dan.
Ja.
I've been thinking of ways that could leave you so that it doesn't hurt. I've been thinking of ways that could free you before it all gets burned.
It was a ton of work, but in the end, the result looks really good. So guys, something is missing there. Exactly guys, the propeller is missing here. And I'm going to put it back there now. How's it going to work? Basically, what you see here is this guy here. I don't know if you see this. So what you see here, this is completely worn out, right? So the other side it's not good, but it's better. And this is just really worn out. Well, this is a new one. So here you can compare sort of old and new. And this sits in here, right? So there you go. So this is hopefully going to prevent it from completely being sort of rusty, and that's my idea. I'm not sure if this is going to work, of course, but so I hope that I can sort of get it out easy in, I don't know, X years from now. So time to install the propeller shaft bearing, and I am doing that by hammer it in slowly, so that's what you see. So guys, that's it. I think it's okay. So now this is supposed to be here, and then this one, you see sort of this tiny small little slot there. There you go. So this is how it's supposed to be. Okay folks, well I looked through all my recordings and I figured that I do not have a better video from the shaft that I am installing right here. It's a little bit a suboptimal recording, but you will get the idea. So this is the moment to install the new propeller shaft stuffing box. I did have the, let's say, old one, which is only 2 years old or 3 years old, but I decided to buy a new one that does cost a few bucks, but with that I avoid the risk of having maybe some leakage there. There is one tricky thing with the installation of the stuffing box, and that is the strip that is sort of clamped together. So I use some tie wraps to clamp it together at one side, then using the bolt nut combination at the other hole, and then repeat the process for the other hole. Time to put some copper grease in the cavity, and after this taking the flange and mount it onto the shaft. Okay, the propeller shaft is in the flange. That looks good. Next step is to make sure that this bolt nut combination that I disassembled gets in. And as you see, I am trying and trying and trying. So turning it, use another angle. I tried a ton of things and it took me a long time. And then I decided this is not going to work. And then I remembered that I had this conical shaped dowel, which I also disassembled like 3 years ago. And I was like, that was the original part in the first place. So let's take that one and install that dowel. And that went really fast. So the penultimate step is to add some grease at the stuffing box. Basically where the shaft comes out of the stuffing box, that is the place where I am going to put some grease. So now the grease is there at the shaft. This is almost done. So my last step is to install those last 4 bolts to make sure that both flanges are assembled together and so that both flanges stay where they are. So as you see, I'm using some Loctite to make sure that those bolts do not get out there. There's a lot of vibration there, so they might get loose and you want to avoid that one. That did happen, I think last year, so I decided to put some Loctite on those bolts so that I don't make that mistake again. The last screw, that's this one. So folks, that's it. I am done here. It's all installed. The question is now, how is it going to be in the water? This is a conical dowel. This is a flange, and this is the flange at the engine side, and this also a flange, and this is the flange at the propeller side. And these flanges are both mounted with these 4 bolts, right? So I can turn it a little bit and you'll see that there are 4 bolts. The propeller shaft is here, and this is sort of fixated in this flange with this bolt. But it used to be this dowel, and it sort of should fit instead of this bolt nut combination. So that's what I basically installed, and somehow this moved out of this drilled hole through the flange and the shaft. And then if it's not there anymore, there's of course nothing that fixates the shaft. So as the engine goes in reverse, the shaft pulls out, of course, so it was sort of translated out of the boat. Well, not completely, there was only like 1 centimeter left, so it was sticking out like this, and it wasn't possible to sort of pull it back again. So you had this 1 centimeter sticking out here and pouring water into the boat at the side of the shaft, right? So when I saw that, I sort of completely freaked out. I didn't hesitate 1 second and jumped into the water, basically pushing the shaft back as far as possible. Well, you have seen how this all ended, and after installation I of course didn't know that. It was difficult to forecast how it would be. I just reassembled everything and used all the parts I had after I disassembled everything. So I didn't use any new parts or so. So there was no sign that something would happen in the first place. In the next episode I am going to fix a crack in the gel coat, which is located near the keel. It's like 10 centimeters or so. And after that I should be able to get into the water and to launch the boat. So see you in the next episode. Ciao.